Well, this was an investigation that began 5.5 years ago into allegations of corruption involved in the initial investigation into Stephen Lawrence's murder in 1993. That investigation didn't find any evidence of corruption, but as it went on, it unearthed what its own investigators thought pointed to misconduct in public office by some of those detectives in very senior roles right at the start after Stephen's murder. And essentially they thought they had found breaches of their duties, in essence, but in broad terms, mistakes that were made that rather scuppered that initial investigation that led originally to no charges. So there were 4 officers, 2 superintendents who were essentially at different times in charge of that first investigation, a chief superintendent, detective chief superintendent who oversaw that first investigation, and a detective inspector. And 2.5 years ago, they were told that they faced the possibility of that criminal charge of misconduct in a public office. Now, the Crown Prosecution Service has just made its decision. We haven't heard from the CPS officially, but I know that the 3 superintendent ranking officers have been told they won't face charges. And I also understand that the lower ranking officer, the detective inspector, he too has been told that he won't face charges. Now, I don't think this is entirely unexpected in the light of what the Commissioner of Scotland Yard, Sir Mark Rowley, was saying yesterday. He was giving evidence to the Police and Crime Committee, his political masters, if you like, and he talked about those early mistakes. He said they were grave. They may have ruined the case, he said. They did irreparable damage. Evidence was lost. Opportunities were missed. And I think, listening to the Commissioner yesterday, the way he was talking, those remarks would have been seen as very injudicious if, and I guess he knew this decision yesterday, if he thought that those officers were going to face criminal charges. So I think that was a big clue yesterday, that these officers would be told that, that they weren't to be prosecuted. And you can only imagine the relief that those officers must be feeling today. They've effectively been under investigation for, well, at least 2.5 years, perhaps longer. They are all elderly men now. They are all retired, long retired, and it would, of course, been a terrible end to their career to have to face criminal charges. But they're not. Whether we're going to hear from them at some stage today, it's not clear. And of course, those mistakes that have been well aired over many, many years were highlighted in the Macpherson report into the original police investigation. And that too talked about fundamental errors, professional incompetence, institutional racism, and the failure of leadership. Nonetheless, those officers who were in charge of that investigation aren't going to face any prosecution.